Okay, what we're going to do today is we're going to propagate comfrey from the roots. This is comfrey right here. That's a little hard to see because it's died back. But when you do see it, it's a leaf that's kind of shaped like a spearhead. And it's got a soft furry surface like dock. This stuff has medicinal applications, especially for dermatological problems. It's food for some foraging animals. But the big thing that we like to use it for is it has a root that goes down about 8 feet. And then it comes up and spreads out about 3 feet. And it goes down into the subsoil, into the substrates, and grabs minerals that aren't generally available up where the other plants' roots are, brings them up and spreads those minerals around, so it's a nutrient accumulator. It also has a lot of, I think it's potassium, but the leaves themselves, if you mix them with compost, will activate the compost. It'll make that compost go to town and start composting much more quickly. So it's a really good, and it's a good companion plant. It attracts good things and it repels some bad things. So altogether, it's just a good thing to have around, especially if you're doing what we're doing and putting in an edible forest. It's a good companion plant for a lot of things, and it self-seeds very readily. But we're going to propagate it from roots today because it propagates very well from roots. You can propagate this in the spring. You can take it from roots and propagate it anytime. But the nice thing about this is the roots are pretty much invulnerable to frost. So even in late fall or early winter, which is today's December 8th, you can put these roots out and you'll get a nice healthy comfrey plant come spring. So what we did was we just dug down into one of our existing plants and chopped out a big chunk of root. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and separate it. Underneath this foliage, what you'll find under here are these little crowns. And you can propagate it from roots with the crowns, or you can propagate it from lengths of root without the crowns. But those crowns are really, really quick to come back to life in the spring. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and drop it in here, and we can try to get rid of some of the soil that's on there, so we can kind of see what we're doing. Okay, there's one that came off right there. There's a crown and a piece of the root. We put that in the ground. Here's another one. Each one of these will turn into a comfrey plant. Just hard to beat. And like I say, you take these. If we take this, which we can now, we take that and go down and throw it in our compost heap. I can add those leaves to our compost heap down there where we windrow compost all the kitchen waste. This activates that compost. It speeds up the process pretty substantially. And that's what a lot of people like to use it for. You see how many, you can actually cut these into pieces this small, and every one of them has potential to become a new comfrey plant. So this is basically, we planted one comfrey plant, and this whole root ball is about half the roots off that one comfrey plant we planted 3 years ago.
Right.
And it's spreading itself down there through seed, quite a bit of seed, but we can selectively plant these now. With this alone, hundreds of plants. We'll probably put together about, I'll break them down into about 100 a day, and we'll put them around the base of a couple of the Hugelkultur mounds over there. And these plants will grow. They're pretty big. They get to be about 2.5 feet around, and they're actually, I think they're attractive
Yeah,
plants.
and then they have a little flower.
Yeah. But you can see how many doggone plants you get out of this thing. And it does make a very friendly habitat for your earthworms too.
Good.
But these are just the surface roots. Like I say, there's a taproot, and that's the kind of amazing thing about this. That taproot goes down 8 to 10 feet. It'll go through the toughest clay. It just keeps burrowing down, and then it comes up and it branches out about a yard in every direction. So it goes down there and grabs those minerals that aren't readily available a lot of times in the topsoil, brings them up and spreads them out and shares them. We're going to plant the comfrey along the base of the hugel mound here. If you look at our hugel mounds, I'll give you a quick sort of overview of what we got on here. We take all our dead wood and dead brush that we can't use for firewood, and we put it in trenches, and we put that manure on top of all that dead brush and dead wood. And it's called Hugelkultur. What it does is the wood breaks down and does a lot of sort of neat biological succession things, but everybody that's seen a piece of really old dead wood knows it turns into a sponge. So these become drought-proof mounds. They end up holding moisture when everything else turns brown in some of these summer droughts that we have now. This will all stay green, and we've planted this. We've experimented with a few different things on here, so now we're going to experiment with comfrey. But the thing that's really flourished here have been berries, especially our raspberries, and we've got some thornless blackberries over there. That's again, it's December the 8th, I think, and so they're all sort of dying back right now. We actually had one plant that still had berries on it, ripe berries on it, 2 weeks ago. And then the other thing we put on here was borage, which is dying back now too. This is a perennial that has culinary and medicinal properties. But the other thing it does, as you can see, it makes a wonderful mulch. And what will come back up through that mulch from these seeds is more borage. And borage produces thousands and thousands of tiny little beautiful blue flowers, kind of a periwinkle colored flower, and it attracts pollinators. When these things were flowered, we've got a beehive down here about, 1/10 of a mile away. This thing was just humming with bees, and those bees did their thing with all our berries. They're going to do their thing over here with the community garden. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add comfrey to the mix over here, and again, see how it flourishes first of all, and then allow it to do what it does for us, which is accumulate nutrients and activate compost. And what we've done in here to give the berries and the other stuff a chance, the same thing we do everywhere around here, is we sheet mulch. The mother house is the headquarters for a worldwide organization. It is a residential facility and a nursing home. So we generate a lot of cardboard, a lot of cardboard. And so we don't let that stuff go off campus anymore. We used to bundle it up and give it to Goodwill or somebody, but we don't do that anymore. We use it to sheet mulch with. The sheet mulch, you just put it down, it becomes a weed barrier, but it also holds moisture, and it's a form of carbon sequestration. So we're stacking functions with this stuff. Well, we did this on the hugel mounds, especially after we put the berries in, because the manure in there has got lots of seeds in it. We actually had a lot of volunteer pumpkins and squash and stuff coming from the seeds, but also a lot of grasses. So we wanted to suppress some of that and give our borage and our high bush cranberries and our raspberries and our thornless blackberries a chance. We tried some blueberries. That was an experiment. It failed because the blueberries, it wasn't quite acid enough for the blueberries, so we'll try them elsewhere. Always accept feedback. That's one of our principles. So I'm going to dig through our sheet mulch there, which is just again the cardboard with wheat straw, until I get down. Here's the soil. There's that pretty soil that's left down there from the manure, and we'll put a big hefty one in this first one here. So I'm just going to drop that down in there, cover it over with about 2 to 3 inches of the manure, and leave it open. When that comes up, we won't have to worry about it being choked out with weeds. It's going to choke out everything around it. This is a very aggressive plant when it starts to grow, and it spreads an umbrella that basically blocks the sunlight from the adjacent plants. That's why it's used sometimes as kind of a natural mulch.